Hi there. My name is Alan Cohen. Today I'm going to be interviewing Rob Wallace, the founder of Hudson Music. Today's meeting will be really about how the COVID virus is really affecting the music industry. The COVID virus is affecting us all, the world itself, and really the music industry, from music business to players in the industry and everybody involved. Rob is a longtime business entrepreneur and in the music industry, and I'd like to welcome Rob Wallace. How you doing, Rob? Good to see
Good,
you.
Alan. Yeah, good. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yes. Why don't you just give us a quick background of your experience in the music industry so everybody knows a little bit about you?
Sure. In the early '80s, I took over a small drum school in New York called Drummers Collective with a partner, and I was a student there at the time, actually. And the owner wanted to sell, so we worked out something, rubbed two nickels together, bought the business, and built it up over a number of years. And I was a co-owner for over 30 years. I sold my share of the business probably 6 or 7 years ago, something like that. I don't even know exactly. I haven't thought about it, but so I no longer own the collective. But in the early '80s, I had heard about this coming thing called a VCR and a VHS and beta videotape. And we started filming some guys that came through the school that were doing master classes. And we started marketing these VHS videos back in the early days, very early days. I didn't even have a player at the time, but we were filming Bernard Purdie and Lenny White, a guy named Yogi Horton, and great drummer that passed, John Schofield, Ed Thigpen. And so we started this catalog of videos and started a mail order business, which we knew nothing about at all, and fell into every hole that we possibly could have. But we built the business up over many years. And in 1990, we sold it to Warner Brothers, to actually Columbia Pictures Publications, who was, as soon as we sold it, shortly after, purchased by Warner Brothers Publications. And I had an employment contract, so I ran it as a division of Warner's for 5 years. Didn't like corporate life that much, because the person that bought our business and that was my boss technically was a great guy. He got pushed out. They put an accountant in charge of this division of Warner's, and it was just became, lost the heart and soul for me, which has always been why I wanted to be in the business in the first place. It became about, spreadsheets and numbers. So when my contract expired, my partner and I left Warner's and started Hudson Music. Mm-hmm. And we kind of picked up where we left off with DCI Music Video, which was the original company name, and started producing under Hudson Music. And, we've built up a big catalog again. I bought my partner out, so I'm the sole owner of Hudson Music at this point. And the business obviously has shifted a lot from back in the day. We were doing DVDs. Now everything is print-based, because people are still buying books.
It all switched to print-based.
We switched to doing books, and
right.
Everything, a lot of them have video components or audio components. And about 2 years ago, I made a real commitment to digital books.
Of course.
And especially where we are today, thank God, the digital business is doing well. We built up a catalog. I built up a catalog over the last 2 years. We have about 150 titles of almost exclusively drum books. And we just signed a deal with one of the largest music publishers out there that I didn't have books from. So now we haven't announced that yet, but we just signed a contract.
We'll announce that in the next. And breaking news now.
Yeah, and we'll virtually have it'll be a one-stop no one in the world will have the selection of digital drum books that Hudson will have.
Fantastic. So you're still very active, obviously, in the music industry, but you're really on the back end of it. And you mentioned a few things about being digital. So during, say, this pandemic, where it's hard for players to be out there, and you'll tell us a little bit in a minute about your playing experience. So technically, you could still be in business, and you are technically still in business because you're really going to be online and it's all digital. So people are always going to be downloading and buying online.
Yeah, right now, obviously, people don't want to leave their homes to go into stores to buy. We still sell hard goods, physical books and DVDs. Amazon is our largest customer.
Plus.
What's interesting in the last 2 weeks, for the first time that I can recall, and for many, many, many years, they haven't ordered from us because they're only ordering essential items, paper towels and toilet paper and Purell, sanitizers. So we were supposed to get an order next week, and we got another email this week saying,
it actually is affecting your digital business.
No, that's physical. Amazon is only physics. They sell our physical books.
But they're ordering online, but it's for the physical items.
Right.
So cut back on your physical items. So
far it hasn't hurt us because they had a good inventory of our products. So everything, as of this morning when I checked our top sellers, everything was still in stock. But it's probably going to run out at some point soon. We have a mail order company as part of Hudson, and I've kept all of my employees. I haven't changed anyone's hours or pay. Everyone's working probably harder than ever because
from home based. They're obviously all switched to home based.
They're all home based, and we're shipping every day. The digital is far exceeding sales of physical at this point in our direct mail business. But we are shipping, physical copies every day. Everyone's working from home and working their butts off because they know, one, they've got a little more time on their hands because there's nowhere to go. Right. Two, they're concerned about their paychecks and understand that we're all in this thing together. Yeah. But, and I'm working, I got done, I started yesterday at 7 a.m. I think I shut my computer at 9 o'clock last night.
I found that too. I said that myself is that when we were active, we're going out, we're running errands, we're doing this, we come back, we work a few hours, you go here. But now I'm like you, from the morning till the night, I'm switching things around. I'm doing video conference. I'm doing, I'm doing all my work. I'm working harder now than I ever did before. I don't know if that's a manic type of thing because you feel you got to keep working, really the work is there, and now you're on
it's both. Yeah, I think it's great for me. I'm very happy. I still love doing this work and doing what I do. I feel that Hudson right now is providing a real service for a lot of people. We're doing a lot of things like I'm trying to have almost daily one of our authors do a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live video where they give a drum lesson, they talk about their book, because the other part of our business is all of our authors make royalties, and given the state of affairs in the business and performing side of their careers, we're providing income for the authors. So they're all on board with helping promote their products now like never before, because they know that royalties are going to be important to them.
Great. That brings up another valuable point about how they are still promoting themselves. So do you think this is setting precedents of how it will go in the future, that more people are going to be online promoting themselves in this fashion? Obviously, we're all forced here right now. Facebook is busier than ever. But as say you're in the business, and what about players? Because you did start out as a player, or maybe that's where you started in Focus.
Yeah, I've been playing drums. I've been playing drums since I'm 10, and I still I was playing a lot, but we'll talk about the playing side in a second. You know, in terms of, you know, I deal with a lot of, you know, top level guys,
Yes, you do.
you know, touring guys, and, you know, guys that are, you know, with, you know, their big paychecks on the line. Obviously all that stopped. And, you know, I know there are definitely guys that were doing Broadway and, you know, doing weddings, you know, and, you know, all kinds of local gigs that weren't touring guys, but pieced together a living. They're teaching online. I know a lot of players that are now setting up studios or have set up studios. And I know guys that we're doing some online teaching. They're doing more of it. And, you know, from what I'm hearing, a lot of the guys that we're teaching, they have not lost students. They've kind of adapted the, you know, the online thing on a one-to-one basis. So, you know, everybody, you got to find a way to pay your bills and, you know, get through this period. You know, I don't know. It's scary thinking about how the economy, how we're going to get out of this. How is the economy actually going to start? Like, there's not going to be a day where everyone's going to say, okay, well, next Thursday, I know I can go into a restaurant or a club, or I can go to a baseball game. It's going to be this, you know, gradual thing. And I think it's going to be really up to the leaders in the country to have a voice. And the question is going to be, you know, can that voice be trusted or not? And, you know, I don't want to make this a political statement, but with the state of affairs in this country, you know, no matter who says it, half the country's not going to believe it, whatever side of the coin you're on.
Very hard to get both sides together, even if the color is red, and they say, "Oh, that's red." So it's a different shade of red.
It's yellow.
Yeah, you know,
it's yellow. So I don't know what's going to be the trigger point where people are going to start feeling comfortable. One thing I heard that was very smart was there is a test available, a blood test that's available now, mass. It's you don't need any special equipment. It's an antibody test, and it checks to see your disease history. And so if you've gotten COVID, if you're past it, it'll show up in your report. And those people need to be identified because they can start going back to work and going back to the real world. You know, I don't know if it's a bracelet that you get, you know, that you say, hey, you know, I'm like COVID, you know, I expired, I can go back to work. But I think something like that's going to need to happen because you know, an ID card that gets issued from a hospital or their blood company that says, yeah, they've had COVID.
Right.
Because otherwise, how do you get to first base? You know, I don't really know. And, you know, that's not for me to figure out. You know, what I'm trying to do is give people something to divert their worries. And I think that, you know, providing jobs first for my employees is important. Providing royalties for our authors and artists is really important. You know, we've quite a large number of people that we pay, and you know, no one's making their livings off of drum book royalties, but you know, definitely in some cases it's substantial enough to, you know, to impact. If it wasn't there, they would feel it.
Well, I think the whole thing about the music industry and the music business, you know, I'm being on that side, is royalty streams, revenue streams.
Right.
So wherever the revenue streams are coming from, you have to find many of them. So you
Right.
from streaming, from sales, the digital sales, from some of the physical sales, from some of your playing, from your teaching. So there's so many revenue streams in the music. In general, the big sides of it is that musicians, business people, you have to find many different revenue streams. So as one might go down, the other might go up, you know, and that you're still getting something.
hopefully,
Not out of
hopefully
business. No.
it's, I mean, I have a lot of guys texting me and emailing and calling, and they're worried. They're worried.
Especially people that are just players, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
these are the players.
So what are you advising to some of them? Do you have any advice to them, or?
I mean, the advice is to keep your chops up so that when
Good.
that's one thing. It is important to stay, tuned up.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if you can do some online teaching, go for it, because, and the other thing is, there are guys that are doing recordings, that have enough equipment in their own home studio or their basement, or have a space where they can actually be sent tracks, put the drums on.
Right. So somebody sends you a Pro Tools
Right.
files, and you record the drums, send it back to them. So
Right.
you got to stay active in that way too. How about being in sync, being able to do one-on-one recording with each other? Then you need a lot more gear than that. Obviously, at a higher professional level, that you can both both the studio and the drummer could play in sync together.
Yeah, I mean, the latency issue, I'm not sure how much that's happening. I
Yeah.
know it's easy for guys to be, email a track, and you put your drums on, send the stems back so they can mix, if they want, even, the drum sounds and so forth. But, a complete live session where guys are in, 3 different rooms around the country or something like that, I know, there's some times that they're able to make that work. I haven't heard about a lot of that happening. Maybe it is. I'm just not.
Well, I don't think most
Sure.
people that, like you're saying, that have their own home studio with, say, a professional room, have that type of equipment to be able to do that.
You need a very, very, very fast internet connection, and
Yeah.
things like that.
My
Not your typical home connection.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing, this is a lot of fun. We're all switching to internet. We're doing interviews. We're, like you're saying, teach online. I mean, what would happen if the internet goes down next?
Yeah.
So I don't want to be a pessimist. I have a very bright outlook on things, but I don't believe anything. And God forbid it goes bigger than that. And then, we're all cut off from each other. This is bringing us in a way all together, but at any minute, something different could happen where, if we're all left on our own, I have no idea. That's
I haven't even thought of that, but yeah, that's a pretty scary thought.
that's the next
I don't even want to go there.
That's the next Netflix movie.
Yeah.
So, to wrap this up, because we were going to, I'm glad we got you, because you are getting a lot of revenue streams, or I don't mean to say a lot, but in different areas. From your business side, from the book side, from physical, from revenues, to all different areas. And you did say that you stopped playing right now. You mentioned to me before we started, just a minute on that, because you're also in a band that lost all its work, for the next who knows how long.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty active playing, over the past, couple of years especially, and all the guys, everyone I know is just, there's not a gig to be had. So, we had a workbook this spring. One of the bands I was in is a tribute band, an Allman Brothers tribute band. We were playing theaters around the Northeast. I'm hoping that the stuff that we have booked, for later in the summer and next fall already, are still solid. I haven't heard it all.
Haven't canceled them out yet, because I guess you have a little bit of leeway time.
But
when you have
the imminent jobs, the shows that we were going to be doing, soon. I just had another gig with I have an R&B band. That's a whole other thing that, was just a club band that was just canceled yesterday, which I knew that was going to be in late April. So they're rebooking us in the summer now.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's your revenue streams. It may not be your main revenue stream, but everybody likes a few extra dollars, and you, of course, you love playing. So that's also been,
I'm fortunate that I have a business to fall back on,
right.
and I'm also very thankful that like I said in the beginning, I made a real commitment to digital.
Yeah.
Because that's been very active, and again, it's been very meaningful to people, and the response we've been getting has been really great. So Yeah, it's it's interesting times for sure. I mean, 2 months ago, if you would have said this, who would have thunk? You'd say, what do you're out of your mind thinking that the world is going to stop, But we'll get through it. I know we will. God willing, everyone in our families will be safe and healthy. And unfortunately, I've lost some friends already.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
half
I've seen
a number of the guys I play
Bucky
with.
Pizzarelli just passed.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God!
he's an
Yes,
old guy, but it was also from complications.
yeah, yeah. Ellis Marsalis. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just and unfortunately, it's probably going to be more. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, I tend to not dwell on those things. That's why I've been working so many hours every day because I got to keep my mind busy. Otherwise, I think I'd drive myself into a closet and never want to come out. But I've got kids and a granddaughter at this point that I try to check in and make sure everybody's healthy. One of my kids is a doctor in a COVID unit. He's
Oh,
taking care
really?
of COVID patients, and I'm real worried about that. But
He's on the front line.
he's on the front line, and he wants to go back and do more. They wanted him, to take vacation time, and he said, "No, I'm not leaving now." So
You just gave me the chills. You can't.
yeah, well,
God bless him, man. Thank you
yeah,
and your family for that.
thank you.
So, yeah. So just to wrap it up, what's there to say? I think you said it all of how to be versatile, how to look at different things, how to keep a positive outlook, not to dwell on the dark side, even though it's in us. Any last sentence you could give as a little advice to musicians in particular, players, and also the business, and we'll wrap that up. Last thing.
All you can do is push forward. It's not safe and healthy to retreat. Hopefully the government's going to come through with assistance for people to get us over the hump. I hope those programs are fast coming and executed well. Time will tell, but I think that's going to be necessary for especially a lot of people in the arts that are, at a total standstill. And this gig economy, obviously musicians have been talking about gigs for years, but now you hear the government use that word. It's kind of ironic and funny to me in a way. But yeah, there's so many people, restaurant owners, food servers, truck drivers that are independent, all these, cab drivers. And there's so many, plumbers, electricians. There's so many people that work independently these days, and they're hurting. So I hope they get through it. I hope the government does its job and gets people across, till this thing passes and the economy starts up again. And I say a prayer every morning when I wake up and when I go to bed every night. That's all you can do.
Through the rest of the day, too, in the back of your mind.
You know what I mean? Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Rob Wallace, entrepreneur,
Thanks, Alan.
founder of Hudson Music, and we wish you and your family well, especially
Thanks.
on the front line.
Thank you. Be safe.
Really.
Be safe, and I hope everyone listening is treating this thing very seriously because it's a monster. I have a lot of friends that are sick, and it's scary. So thanks again, and you take care of yourself.
Thank you so much.